welcome back. This is my 1937 Caterpillar 22 that I just got running in a video, probably the previous one to this, for the first time since 1978. And it really wasn't too big of a job, and now I just kind of want to continue the process forward, and we're going to get this thing going where we can take it to a plow day again. And, you know, we're not going to restore it, but we're going to get it so we can tinker around with it a little bit and make it so it at least holds coolant. So let's get started on this radiator. I'm going to start by removing this front radiator. I guess you would call it a guard or a grill, and see what we're working with here. Get a little better look at everything there before I clean it out, but it's really not bad for probably the original core. I need a decent way to kind of, these aren't pressurized systems, but I need to add some pressure in here to check exactly where the leak is coming from, or various places the leak is coming from. So I think what I'm gonna do is make a new gasket for the top of this tank, for the cap here, and we'll just backfeed some pressure in through the overflow. I think that'll work. It's roughly the correct shape. That thread could use a little lubricant. If you ever need just a little drop of oil, you always got your dipstick. Before we cap this up, should probably make sure that overflow isn't plugged. Nope, seems good there. Ugh. It's a little tough, so let me grab a tap and clean those threads out. Feels a little more promising now. I'm gonna turn my regulator way down on my compressor, and we're gonna feed this back through the line and get some soapy water, figure out where this thing's leaking. Got my air line fed into the overflow right there. Our main leak was somewhere here right in the middle. It was spraying right out of there. So I'll see if there's enough coolant in it still to spray out. There it is. Gotta pry the front of this fin open. There we go. Now we can see our little hole. Gonna clean around this so I can get in here to solder it. Just peel that fin back from the tube a little bit. Peel it up. I'm hoping this isn't a start of a bunch of pinholes. I really need to drain the coolant completely down, and right here's the drain valve, but it's kind of stuck. A little heat should help that out. Need more than that. Well, hopefully that's not some type of seal that's burning out of there. Put a little wax on here and we'll let her cool out. A little tap. Don't want to destroy this thing, but it's pretty growed shut. And maybe we can pull the whole thing loose. Oh, that's okay, that works. We'll get that thing cleaned up and put back on there. I'm going to show you the setup before I do this repair. So this has been cleaned with some gel flux, and I've preheated it and then cleaned it with flux and heated it and cleaned it and blown it off. So this should be good to go to take solder. I'm using some 4060 acid core solder. This should work okay for what we're doing. This is the flux I was using. I just preheated it with a little propane torch, but I got a 0 tip on my little hen rob here, so that'll give us a nice close accurate flame to solder this up without too big of a mess, I'm hoping. So let's give it a try. This is just a little soapy water. I think that's sealed up, but I think I'd like to get a little more reinforcement on that. Okay, I think I'm happy with that. I'm gonna leave that alone. All right, I'm just gonna try to bend a couple of these fins back a little bit more straight the way they were. Well, that's a good chance that that's repaired better than most local radiator shops would have done. So let's put some coolant back in it and see if we have any leaks. Actually, let's put some air to it and see if we get any leaks, because I got more to do if it's sealed up. Okay, we should be able to see some bubbles if we got a leak anywhere. I'll do a little looking on the back side of the core, but I think we're good. Well, great news. There are what appears to be no more leaks anywhere in this radiator core. I sprayed all around in the back, all around in the front. And just to prove it does have pressure on it, we are got a little bit of a leak on the radiator cap, but we're good, man. Additionally to the leak in the radiator, when we first got this thing running and had it running for a while, it got hot. And it didn't get like crazy hot, and I'm assuming that's because it does have this water bypass here. This is your lower radiator hose, and it connects into your water pump, which should push water through the block, but this portion of it here would be considered a bypass. So that was probably keeping it from getting way too hot. But I'll show you the diagram in the manual here. This would be our guy right here, and it is showing a regulator, which is basically a thermostat, in that upper portion. So I'm guessing it's crusted up, as crusty as the inside of this radiator looks. I don't know if I give you a little refresh on how bad this looks inside. It is, yeah, a little bit crusty. I think it could be worse. I think there's just a lot of stuff sitting on the top. I don't think it's all that bad. And I bought some of this Fleet Guard cleaner to hopefully get rid of the scale in that radiator, but I'm also kind of a little bit worried that, like where there was a pinhole in the bottom, if I go getting that radiator core too clean, a bunch of little pinholes might open up, so we got to be careful about that. But yeah, so let's get this top basically thermostat housing. So we got 2 bolts there, 2 bolts here, and this bypass. These have already soaked for a while, a couple different times, but it can't hurt just put a little bit everywhere once again. See if we can get these broke loose without too much hassle. Oh yeah, we're gonna get lucky. I think this machine is gonna treat us well. Might not be as lucky here. There we go. Got one stubborn one. Yeah, freed it right up. Try to be pretty gentle and try to come straight up. Oh, we're good. not too bad. Yeah, take a little look in there. Not too bad. Right there, it actually looks pretty clean in there. I think this engine might be cleaner inside than I think it is. I'm guessing a lot of the scale and stuff I'm seeing up top is from the actual cast iron tank. There is some mineral buildup, but we'll see how cool it runs once we get it going again. As far as our thermostat housing, let's we're just gonna take this the rest of the way apart, I guess, because it's got enough crust in it that needs to be examined. So we'll pull this tube off and pull these little, probably 1/4 inch bolts out the back. Those guys might snap off on us, we'll see. Something's coming loose. There's that. Huh. So that's like an adjustable piece. Not sure how this comes apart. Oh, okay, I see. Try to be gentle with this thing. There we go. Oh. Well, there you are. That's the that's your thermostat. An adjustable one at that. Wonder if it's just stuck. So this should come loose of this plate. Here we go. I take this in and boil some water and see if it's working correctly and at what point it decides to open. Alright, so here's the setup. I've got the thermostat in a pot here on the stove, a reasonably accurate thermometer, and I'm just kind of waiting to see when or if that thermostat opens. I'm assuming it's 160 or 180 degrees ish. Obviously it's adjustable, so you can change that, but I would think it would be somewhere in that range. Just we're nearing 160 degrees. Past 160 now. Hitting 170 right now. Still no movement. We're just about at 180. It doesn't look like it's budged yet. Yeah, we're over 180 degrees now. We're at 190 right now. This thing should be open by now. I'm just gonna let it go till it hits a roaring boil and see if it opens at all. It looks like it's opening right now. Yeah, there it goes. It's starting to open. And that's at 197. It's opening. Maybe even hotter than that, because this water's, it's right at the edge of boiling, and this thermometer might be off a touch. But we're at 200. Just shy of 200, and it's opening. So you can see that okay. See, it's opened up. That's about as far as it's gonna open as well. But I want to see how accurate this is, because it's just starting to boil, and we're it's a little lower. Because I'm gonna use the same method to set that to a correct temperature. Yeah, that's pretty well boiled right there, and it's about 5 degrees shy. Looks like. Yeah, probably 5 degrees shy. Well, I've fiddled around with this thing a little bit, and I've got it so it's just starting to open at about 190 degrees. And looking in the manual, they're saying optimal engine operating temperature is 190 to 200. So I think if it's just starting to open at 190, we should be pretty good. And we're right there, right about 200. And it's all the way open. So I'm not sure if that's exactly how these got to be set, but just under 190 it starts cracking, and at 200 it's wide open. So if they say 190 to 200, I would think that'd be an okay way to set it. It's going to run way cooler than it was, so set it at that. I made up some gaskets to fit all the flanges and stuff. Cleaned up the drain valve. This actually came apart pretty easy once I looked at it. This is a tapered fit on the inside that keeps it sealed, so you can just loosen this nut and smack the backside and it all comes apart pretty easy. So that's good to go. We got our thermostat adjusted and functioning. Got the bolts cleaned up. I did a little bit of cleanup inside the radiator here, not enough to really make a difference. I tried to like blow this out while putting the shop vac on the back part here. It moved it a little bit, but I think I'm still gonna put some kind of washing stuff in there. I've been reading that people use like dish detergent pods in there. I might give it a shot, we'll see. Alright, got shellac on everything and our gaskets set in place. It's kind of neat how they engineered and built everything well enough that it fits together like this. You know, most manufacturers used, in the agriculture world at least, used hoses. I'm sure a little bit for vibration and for misalignment. And this is all built well enough that everything lines up with pretty tight flanges at that. I ended up remaking this upper gasket because the thermostat in here is kind of bouncing around. So I'm hoping that this will push on that spacer a little better and we'll get a tighter fit. Yeah, that helped. Tightened it up pretty good. Reinstall our drain valve. Got everything tight back down. It should be sealed up now, so I'm going to fill the radiator with just water, and I think I'm going to try a dishwashing tablet to try to clean this out. We'll get it up to temperature and get it flushing. See how big of a mess I can make. Starting off strong. I don't know how much this holds, but about 5 gallons came out. Yeah, I'd say about 5 gallons. It brought it right up about here. I had this guy laying around, was on the M65 grader when I bought it, and it just so happens to be the same size. I'm not sure it would fit on there with the hood, but it makes it a little less cackly right now. Top up our big fuel tank here so we can run it for a little while. It's about 15 degrees outside, so I want to block off as much air as I can to get this thing up to operating temperature. This thing has gained a lot of compression back after we did the original run. It feels really even now, and I would say back up to pretty close to where it's supposed to be. So that's good news for the overall health of this thing. gonna let it sit here and run a little while. It's starting to build heat. We've got kind of a miss on cylinder 1. I might swap a spark plug out on that or something. We'll check it out in a second. Starting to build a little heat in there. So my main problem here is it's too cold out. I can't get it up temperature. The best I can get out of this thing, even coming out of the cylinder head, is 170. I mean, look at the, even right down around the spark plugs, like 170. Oh, that one's a little warmer. Well, here, this will help diagnose which ones are missing and which ones aren't. So we're pretty hot on that one. 190. 190. So number 2's definitely doing some missing, and number 1. So 3 and 4 are doing pretty good. 1 and 2 are doing some missing, and that's what I was seeing. And it could be part plug wires, plugs, whatever. So we're gonna got new wires coming for it. The plugs seem decent. They keep cleaning up okay, but a little bit of oil maybe making it past those first 2. What are we getting for like a block temperature on this thing? 100. It's like 80 degrees on the pan. Yeah, I mean, there's a little bit of heat. I'd like to try to get it warmer than that to flush around the old oil before I change it. So we'll probably hold off on changing the oil too. So I guess we're gonna have to wait for a warmer day to do this. That's about all there is to it. I do have a bit of a leak coming out of that upper piece. I was wondering about that. There's some pretty severe pitting on this section, so I'll end up pulling this back apart, and we'll put that upper piece together with some RTV or something to make up for that pitting. And since it's dripping, I'm going to open the valve up and we'll drain this water back out of it. I keep it heated in the shop here, but I don't need it. Heater going bad and it freezing up or something silly. It's supposed to be in the single digits, at least tonight. So it's a little bit of muddy water, but really doesn't look that bad. There's just some scale and stuff I'd like to clean up in there. I cleaned all the gaskets up, at least these 3. Had to remake one, and then I put RTV, black RTV on both sides. So that should have everything sealed up pretty decent now, and we'll let it sit overnight at least before we mess with it again. Well, I pulled out the spark plugs from cylinder number 1 and number 2 here, and we're getting a lot of oil fouling is what's happening. I think that's causing our misfire. It ran good at the start, and then it started to run poorly. So I'm guessing that we've still got some stuck rings in those 2 cylinders, and I bet they will loosen up over time. So I'm just going to clean these spark plugs back up and reinstall them. But if we have these firing well, we might be able to build heat a little better in that engine as well. Well, it's the next day, and it got down to like -1 or so last night, and as of 9 a.m. this morning, it was still 1 degree out. I think we might be up to 5 now, but tomorrow it says it's going to hit 31 degrees. So I'm thinking that I got a couple trees I cut down. We can drag them around to where I'm going to burn them up, and maybe work this thing a little bit and try to get that engine temperature up to get something circulating and flush that thing out. But I don't really want to do that without double checking that we do have plenty of oil in the transmission and rear end and the final drives, and I want to lubricate these rollers and front idlers and stuff. So let's do that first, and I also want to try to get this air cleaner back on here because I don't want it flinging stuff up and getting sucked down into the engine. We don't really need that. Not a big risk, but be good to have it. Start with this air cleaner here and see if it's got some oil in it or what we're working with. Ew. There's oil in there, but there's a lot of gunk too. Yuck. Ooh, it smells bad. Yeah, pretty gross. A little better look at what's in there. Got a feeling that this wasn't changed freshly in 1978. Maybe 1968 was the last time it was changed. Well, the bowl cleaned up pretty good, and it's a Donaldson air cleaner. Just kind of curious what company made it. But the upper part is actually doesn't look too bad, so I'm just gonna fill our cup back up and we'll reinstall this whole filter. I think something worth noting is there is a little crack in that intake tube. Shouldn't hurt anything for what we're doing, but just interesting that it's cracked all the way through. Wonder how that happened. Get our bracket, band, whatever you want to call this, back in there. Did not have any new black hose, but I got some of this silicone stuff, so that'll work. A little tacky looking, but whatever. Just fish back around. I just added some 1/8 inch cork rubber in there to give it some padding. Fill up our oil cup. And fish it back in here. It looked like it would fit without spilling, but I think I was wrong. To me, that means that that air cleaner's sitting too low, because why would they design it that way? Oh, what fun it is to fight rusty metal on a cold day. Got that all lifted up where it belongs and reclamped. Now you can service the air cleaner. I know the engine oil level is good, so let's check the transmission and bevel gear oil. It's all one compartment, and you check the level by pulling out this plug right up in here. It's the level plug, so there should be oil that comes out of here. Just gonna use this little piece of zip tie as a dipstick here. Yeah, it's in there, but we could add a little bit, and I'm going to add a little bit of thinner oil to help cut this down so we can change it. This is your fill point for the transmission. Using the original, I believe the original Caterpillar supplied wrench here. Let me know when it starts running out of there. Hey, I told you to let me know so we weren't dumping it on the floor. And of course, all of it, most of it missed my catch pan there. Got the final drives cracked open here, so let's see how low they are. Kind of hope they're a bit low so we can add a little bit of that thin oil. It's a touch low. That one's got more in it, but let's top them right off with that thin oil. We are filled to the top now. Going to also fill up our lubricating cups here. And there's one more back here for the clutch throwout bearing. The book states to fill the cup completely up, so that's what I'm gonna do. I'm assuming that goes down and feeds just a felt that slowly lubricates that throwout bearing, pilot bearing. I'm not sure what it's lubricating. Probably both, I guess. While I'm fumbling around back here in this area, I'm going to double check these steering clutch adjustments to make sure that they have adequate clearance. We should have minimum of 3 inches of free play in our levers here. So I'd like to see closer to 4. It looks like we got like just over 3 on that one and not nearly enough on that one. So let's, we just gotta back this guy off a little bit. Loosen this locking bolt. Well, you try to. Boy, they had that tight. You do that and then you loosen these off. So as the clutches wear, these clutches will lose travel. So you have to back this adjuster out. So the current adjustment on these shows that the clutches are in very good condition and we should have a lot of life left in them. We got the same amount of free play in each of them and they both hit at the same spot. The next thing we got to do is this right brake is very stiff and it sticks down. It doesn't seem to be anything external, so I'm going to pull the cover off down here and see if that's something inside. Well, not much left of the old cork gasket here. Looks like we've got just a little bit of rust on stuff here. I'm guessing that's what our issue is. So let me get some penetrating oil sprayed on. I'm guessing that linkage right down there. And just kind of coat everything up here. And I'll work it back and forth a few times. I believe it's the upper part, the actual pivot itself, that is stiff. So I'm gonna have to work it back and forth a little here. A little heat should help. A little more penetrating oil. While I'm heating and soaking that pin that doesn't seem to want to come loose, I'm going to adjust this track here so it starts running more true. If you can see, you can see where the front of the track frame and this front idler bracket is sitting on this side. See how it's the track frame's in front of it on the inner part. So, I mean, this thing is pretty well out of adjustment, but I'd at least like to try to square this up. A little bit unfortunate that somebody has already rounded over these inner adjustments. So, I've got the lock bolts loose. We're going to try to put a pipe wrench on there and jack this, use this floor jack to rotate it. Well, surprise, surprise, nothing wants to move. And that's all seized up. You can kind of see how that adjuster frame kind of has a whoop in it. Wondering if something's been seized up long ago and is bent or something. Or they rammed the front of this side of the track into something. I don't know. This whole thing should rotate in there and turn that screw at the other end, but it doesn't seem like anything's moving. Well, we're doing pretty good here. The brake pin continues to be seized there on the shaft. So this pin keeps rotating when you push the brake down. It's gotten easier because oil and penetrating and oil and wax and stuff is worked in on the pin, but the pin's not supposed to move. So we'll continue to work on that. Tried to mess with these front track adjusters here, and this one is not seized up, but the inside is seized up, and I can't get it to move. So we'll just keep soaking on that. But the only other thing that I'm really concerned about before we move around with it too much is these grease points for the idlers and stuff. And I think I have the fitting for that, but now that I'm looking at it, these look bigger than what I have. Let me check. Clean one of these off, see if what I have will fit, and I'm not sure. So these are in the manual. It states fill with transmission grease. It's the same thing they call out to put in the rear end and stuff. What I've got to use is cornhead grease, and that's a pretty similar product to what they would have used back in the day. It is kind of a solid at room temperature, and once you get it moving, it begins to flow once it's warm. Let's see if that'll fit on there. Ooh, it does. Perfect. All right, we'll just give a couple pumps to each one of these. 1, 2, 8. I'm just going to do that with all the rollers and the front idlers. Just going to put 8 pumps of this in there, and I really don't know how far that's going to go, but it's better than nothing. Okay, it's the next day. I'm getting a little bit of a late start to this, but I'm going to try the dishwasher. I don't even know what brand this is, but I'm assuming the white powdery part of it is what I want. And all these little guys are probably just like rinse aids and stuff. I don't know. We'll put them in there too. Why not? I'm just really worried about using anything too aggressive and opening up a bunch more pinholes. So hopefully it comes out spot free when we're done here. See how easy it fires up today. Got a fresh tank of fuel here, and probably have to refill that a couple times before we're done. But yeah, should work. It is starting pretty easy, it seems. Something to do and move stuff around a little bit, work that engine. 1 and 2 is following out a little bit again. Muffler's ready to check out. Just scattering the scrap iron around over there. Our water temperature is staying cool, but hopefully it's warm enough that it's circulating. Pulls these little oak trees around like they're nothing. Enough. We're about going to lose our muffler there. Let's take it over and drain the coolant out. We'll see what we got. It's been running for probably a half hour now. I've had to fill that fuel tank up 3 times. That's too fast. This thing's obnoxious. See if it'll idle lower. No, don't die on me. I don't want you to die. That's not at all what I wanted to happen. But that's going to start up nice. Well, it don't look too bad. A little muddy. Let's, we'll drain her out, I guess. There's the spark plugs out of 1 and 2. They're all oil fouled again. I'll clean these up, throw them back in. Hopefully we can get it started. See if I can get it fired back up here. I'd like to flush some fresh water through it, but I don't want to do that cold water on a hot engine unless I'm still producing more heat with the engine. So. Try to let this get up to temp, and I'm going to let it cycle through with some fresh water until we get clear water coming out of it. I want to make sure all that detergent is washed back out of it, and then we'll refill it with antifreeze. Well, I was sitting here flushing the radiator, and it just slowly kept running worse and worse and worse and worse, and I pulled the plugs out of 1 and 2, and I got started back up, and that didn't really solve anything. And I continued to mess with it, and it just kept getting worse and worse, and I've got like no spark. So I'm like, well, maybe the plug wires were going bad, shorting out somewhere. Found a good spot to short, wiggling around. That didn't fix anything, and then essentially it just finally died. So I'm curious if the points are closing up inside the Magneto here. So I'm going to pop that open real quick and check. Carefully move this guy so we don't turn anything. I don't see anything out of the ordinary in there. And the points haven't closed up, so I'm guessing that condenser's probably gone bad. Don't see anything else. I don't know if the coil would have gotten weak or that condenser went bad. See if I got one of them. Got an unknown, what I think is a good condenser swapped in there, and we'll see if that works. Put it back together here. Hopefully nothing has moved on the cap here. I think it fits. All right, fingers crossed that did the trick. I've fiddled around with this thing for a while now, pulled everything apart, checked it all. Everything looks good. Tried to do a little reading on what would give me erratic spark like that, and it may be that the magnets are getting weak, but I've got bright blue spark on cylinder 2 and 3, and I've got nothing on cylinder 1 and 4. So I'm gonna try to at least get it running to the point where I can get it back in the shop and get that solvent drained out of the final drives and drain this engine while it's still hot. And I don't want it sitting out here because it's supposed to be down in like 10 degrees every night or something. So I don't want it all freezing back up. I want to leave it in the shop where it's heated. So let's try to get it going. Okay, so it definitely is down spark on 2 cylinders, but I think it might have ran out of fuel. Kind of silly, but I think that's what happened. Like stalled out. Well, somehow, by a stroke of luck, we've seemed to pick up spark on all 4 cylinders again. And the plugs are a little fouled up, so she's not running great, but it's hitting on all 4 again. So I think I'm gonna end up pulling that Magneto off and like completely going through it. But let's bring it back in the shop and we'll get the engine drained out and the final drives and stuff. Still got great oil pressure and falling within the operating range on the gauge there. She don't sound too bad. We'll shut this thing off and Yeah, I'll shut her down here and let's drain some of these compartments. We'll get the engine and those final drives for sure. Not final drives, but like clutch housings. I only got it up to a little over 100 degrees on the oil pan here, but it's enough that it's like the chunks of stuff are coming out, so yeah. Look how black that is. Old gasoline engine shouldn't be that black in between oil changes. I can feel the pickup screen right above this drain, and I don't really feel a whole lot of anything on it, so I think we're safe to just let this drain and we'll refill it. And we'll drain our coolant back down. It's about as clear as you can ask for, I think. Seems like it's flowing decent in the radiator now, so I'm confident that we got the leak fixed and this is flushed out good enough for now. We can put coolant like antifreeze back in it. Still a little colored, but you're gonna flush it forever to get that out. It's an old engine. I'm back here to these clutch housings. These, just a reminder, these are dry housings, but I put some solvent in there to flush them out while we drove it around there. The manual recommends kerosene for flushing these. Ugh. That's pretty gross. Glad I did that. I mainly did this because when I was initially driving it the first time, the left side clutch seemed to slip a little bit, and I knew that was because the discs in the clutch pack probably had oil on them, because this is the side that had oil come out of it when we originally pulled the drain plug. And these should be completely dry, nothing in them. These holes are just here for drainage purposes, and there's a way to adjust the brake bands in there as well. Or that might be for the brake bands. I don't remember. There we go. So we'll just let that drip out and pull the other side here as well. Pull the right side open. Well, that's must have some junk in there because it's got, oh, just as well. There it goes. Yuck. That's darker than the other side. And we'll just let them drip out now. Okay, get the water drained out of it. Let's try to put some coolant back in. This is all filtered out. Should be plenty good for this application. And a little more to top her off. Seal it up, put our cap back on, and you could say that the cooling system is, I guess, fixed. So I guess you could say we got the cooling system fixed up on this thing. Video might have got a little longer than I planned to, especially with it not wanting to run out there. But now it seems that we're running on all 4 cylinders again, but that leads me to say that I do need to pull this Magneto off and do some bench testing, or I might even bring it to somebody. There's some local-ish guys that are Magneto experts, and something like that should be real easy for them to work on, some Fairbanks. Well, we got the engine oil drain, we got those clutch compartments kind of flushed out, and the clutches seemed like they were grabbing really good. It was pulling pretty hard on that one tree there, so nothing was slipping. This brake is still hanging up, and there's a plethora of other stuff we still need to get to. But the main goal for this video was to get this radiator fixed up. We no longer have a leak, which is awesome because the rest of this core looks really good. And they got that thermostat adjusted and it's working. No longer have that drip at the bottom. The RTV's got that sealed up with the gasket. Water pump doesn't seem to be leaking, so that's good news. But plenty more to do on this thing. But we kind of got that much closer to making it like a half decent machine that we can go out and start up. So that's good. It's progress. With all that being said, I'm going to end this video here. There's plenty more to do on this thing, but we don't need these getting crazy long. So hopefully this is a manageable length of time. It's hard to tell when you're recording. It takes days and weeks to mess around with this stuff. So if you do like this kind of stuff, you might want to check out the channel. There's all kinds of other stuff on here. If you haven't seen the first revival of this thing yet, you know, check that out. We got some farm tractors in the back, working on those, and plenty of other revivals in the past. So check it out. If you like what you see, subscribe to the channel. Leave a like on the video. Leave a comment if you got memories about this stuff, or you have some suggestions on how to work on this old thing that you notice I'm doing something wrong. Feel free to share it. It's appreciated. So with all that being said, I appreciate you all watching, and I'll see you on the next one.